VO Radio would like to know, are you a fan of YouTube? Introducing VO Radio Live Tubies.
When I wake up every day, I get on YouTube and check the front page. I scroll, and what do I see? Oh, what a surprise.
Be sure to send your email to ask@voradioonline.com. Now it's time for this week's VO Tubi on VO Radio and YouTube.
All right, welcome aboard, as everybody. Glad you're all joining us today. You're with me, Anthony Reese, and my co-panelist, Miss Stacy Barrow. I got to ask her to unmute because this is live radio and this is a live broadcast. So we're
I'm
unmuted
unmuted.
here.
I'm unmuted, and it's just me and you. So if I'm muted, you're talking to yourself.
That's right. I'm talking to myself, and I do that a lot. But my psychiatrist says, as long as I don't answer myself, I'm good. So
Wait, I can relate. I think we all can as voice actors.
I'm telling you what. Hey, listen, you want to join the conversation? Feel free to Zoom in using the Zoom call options on the website, voradioonline.com. Go to where it says live tubies, and you'll see the information to Zoom in. You can text us 970-682-3424, 970-682-3424, or the old-fashioned way, snail mail. A lot of us go, what the heck is snail mail? Snail mail is like the old email slogan. You can send through an email, comment, ask your questions, whatever have you, relevant to the topic we're talking about or anything else in general. And we will definitely try to get to that and answer it as soon as possible. We're going to be doing our Who's That Voice later. This is going to be the final take of this week's question. And you're going to want to stick around for that because we're giving away a free hour of training with our own chef, Deb Moreau, who's in Asia. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks, and she'll be working with whoever the winner is on their free private lesson. I think it's valued at like $125 is what the going rate is nowadays for her coaching. But you want to be around and stick around for that. Once again, if you want to communicate with us, feel free to do so. Don't forget, next Wednesday on the Let's Talk VO show, next Wednesday, Tim Freelander of Nava is going to be joining us, and Tim's going to be coming in to give us an update on everything, where everything legislatively stands for the AI fight that's going on, and all kinds of other Nava, however you want to say it, Nevada, all those other things that Tim's going to update us on relevant to what's going on there at Nava. And we got all kinds of great things happening. So I think it's time. What do you think? You want to go ahead and get into a, I want to thank our sponsors. Speaking of Nava, that's right. Don't forget about the sponsors. They've been in our corner since day one. Entering our third year, as you might have heard a few minutes ago, for one of our birthday wishes. We are now officially in our third year. Mind-blowing to me and Stacy and everybody who's been here from the very beginning that we're actually entering 3 years. You know, I had a lot of people say, there's no way. There's no way you guys are going to survive. I don't want anything to do with this. This is ridiculous. Here we are. As the Simpson guy might say. Here we are in our third year. Now, granted, we only have 2 listeners, me and Stacy, but no, I'm just kidding, really. Seriously. No, we're doing really good. Thanks to you, the listener and the watcher up there in the YouTube world on our live Tubi channel on VO on YouTube. By the way, you can go to YouTube, type in just VO Radio, and our channel comes up, and you can actually see our YouTube live being simulcast, our VO Tubi going on right now. Hello out there. Anyway, so that said, we want to thank Nava. We want to thank VoiceOver Extra. We want to thank the Vorg, the VoiceOver Collective, and of course, again, Nava. So thank you for being part of the program.
So Anthony,
Yeah.
Now when I have to get a word in, I'm still going to raise my hand, but you gotta look at me. I just wanted to say though, a couple things. Also something a little bit different and fun. Next Friday on Tubi, we're going to have Eric Cifuentes, and he's a casting director, and he, casts everything, but is also a bilingual casting director. And, he wanted to be on our Tubi show, and I think that's so fun. So we're going to have like a different kind of a show and include him and everything on next Friday.
Awesome.
And another thing, exciting thing, I met Mark Cashman.
Yay! I was going to ask you, how did that go out there at the showcase? Go for that. Tell us about that.
Oh my gosh. I'm still like high off that, I have to say. I'm in a little bit of a a daze, and my brain keeps reviewing all the different,
Yeah.
things that happened that day and what people said. And I took a lot of notes, but, pictures and notes can't just capture the experience of doing something in person.
Right.
And, these days we do so much remotely. I really want to make a point if I can. And it was, in my backyard practically, this event. So I want to do those types of things. It's easier to do than hopping on a plane.
Yeah.
And in fact, getting me into voiceover in general, first starting out, having the ability to do this like we're doing now and Zoom and everything makes it possible for everyone. So this experience was so great. I got to have a workshop with Dave Fennoy, and he was sitting, like 2 feet away from me. And what a personable man. And he's been on our radio show before and so talented, and we can't wait to have him back. But wow, he is just like he was on the show, so easygoing. And so, oh my gosh, when he was actually helping us, we prepared a piece. He sent out some scripts. We prepared a piece of our choosing, and we got to work back and forth, with him, on the microphone right in front of him, and then hybrid. Some people were on Zoom, and it was so cool because he would just, push and pull us in different directions. And when he says a line, and I don't care what it is, it sounds so real that you're like, oh my God, we're not in that situation.
Right.
That's how he's just so talented that way. And it's so neat. And his whole point was how everybody the little things that we can do to sound like it's really happening.
Right.
And then the next one was Rick Zeff. That was the next workshop. And he's big into animation, and he pushed and pulled us, and we had a cold read, piece, and more character and more big. He wanted us to go big versus Dave Fennoy, which was, let's be more realistic. So that was a good dichotomy. I never use that word.
Right. Big word.
Yeah, I know. Big word for Friday morning. But that was amazing. And then the showcase and full of, live people. I felt like a little bit like a VO American Idol situation happening on a low key scale, in the studio, and then hybrid. But the high of being able to do that in front of people, and also remembering where the mic is, because even though you can see people, you're still doing voiceover and you need to speak into the mic. But that whole thing. And circle back, I met Mark Cashman. I didn't know that he was going to be there in person. And he said, I was just on the radio show.
Yeah, he didn't say that the other day, did he? So that was really cool.
He didn't
that
realize.
Showed up like that.
Yeah,
and
he
I
didn't
think
realize.
that's his neck of the woods. I think he's from that area, actually.
He must be. And you know what? I gave him a Baby Bell cheese, and he ate it.
Baby Bell.
It was all about snacks that day. But that was very cool. Okay, I'm ready for a question now.
Well, real quick, wrap up by saying, what did you take away from that event? What did you find that you really walked away with that was a wow moment for you?
So many wows.
Yeah.
But besides all my peers, and not all of them, but the handful that were there, the in-person thing, that was a wow. Getting to be live and feel what that felt like brings something additional out of you, and makes the ability to have, I just love being directed, by these wonderful people, and to have them, I mentioned that push-pull because it's big, small, do this, or things you didn't consider, and to really let it go so you can be that character. That was fun to be able to tap into those things at the right moment. And then have constructive feedback, of course. But the wow was doing that in person, and to have the opportunity to do that in front of people who are, considering and getting to know you, and just for them to get to see Stacey Barrow, I was just so happy.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's so awesome. That's amazing stuff that you walked away from there. And I think if anybody's listening or watching out there in the YouTube land, that is something that's important for you as a on-camera actor, especially, but even somebody that works on Zoom and or just does voice work. Meet and greets in person and auditions, or what we call table reads and all the other stuff that comes with that, is a very important part of breaking down the shyness of being a voiceover artist. You have to be able to take and work directly with people and feel confident taking and receiving direction, especially over Zoom or Skype or GoToMeeting or all these other platforms. So that is something that was really great about what you just said, you just experienced, was the ability to basically step out of your booth, so to say, and actually learn how to feel comfortable in front of people, not always being hiding behind the microphone, being audible only type of environment. So
right. And two more things. Also, being live in person, being ready for whatever.
Right.
And you have to be ready, if there's tech issues, and there was, and then everybody finds a way around them, whatever those things were for the event. But you have to be, you should memorize your piece in a situation like that if you can, so you can bring the life off of the page. And also, if something happens, you need to be prepared. And if you have to do your piece in the street or whatever you have to do, you're going to do your piece that day, no matter what you're going to do.
Exactly.
And
as they say, what do they say? The show must go on, so to say.
Yes.
So.
And one more thing, we had a listener one time ask, wow, what do you do when you hear different kinds of information from different coaches and everything? We experience this every single day. And even in the 2 workshops, keep it realistic, go big. It just depends what it is. You're going to hear different advice. Slate, don't slate. Slate in the voice of your character. No, slate in your own voice. It's always different.
It is, and it is a grab bag, that's why we call that bag of tips, that it came off the grab bag concept. And it is, mixed messages are really hard for especially a newbie and or intermediate talent that's listening right now or watching the show. Advanced talent who've been out there a while kind of know when they're being BS. They can kind of tell what's true and what isn't, and that's garbage, or that's not, I don't agree with that. But when you're kind of new, you're obviously easily influenced, and you're going to take professionals who are above you, their comments a little bit more at heart. And then down the road, you can start to evolve enough to where you start to go, wait a second, no, that isn't what I'm finding out. So you're going to find that's very true. So, hey, once again, if you want to check out, speaking of Mark Castron's interview the other day, it is on demand at the VORadioonline.com website. And you can go to where it says on demand, or go to Let's Talk VO. And in there, you'll find the VIP guest interviews excerpts. And Mark is there with Tim Friedlander and J. Michael Collins, and oh my God, there's so many we've done now. So with that said, hey, why don't we go for it? You want to send in a text, 970-682-3424, or email ask at voradioonline.com. Or if you're listening or watching through the app, use the info icon. That'll open up the ability to click on the email icon and send an email straight from your phone. So with that said, let's go for our very first quick question, and we'll play around that just a bit. Looks like Bev Standing's in the queue too, so we'll let her in. Looks like her limo's just pulling up, so here we go.
I messaged her. I'm like, do you want to be with us today? Hey, this is
You're listening to VO Radio. The views, opinions, and insights shared are not necessarily those of other panelists, guests, and contributors on VO Radio and its broadcast programs. Advice, tips, opinions, and legal suggestions are based on industry experience of the individual co-host, panelist, guest, or contributor. These opinions and comments are not endorsed by or verified by VO Radio and its operators. Listener discretion is advised.
VO Radio, Internet radio for the voiceover community.
Hi, this is Linda Bruno. Be sure to catch my podcast, the Voiceover Gurus Podcast, weekends during the Weekend Power Podcasts here on VO Radio. Check out the podcast section of the website for my weekend showtimes.
Internet radio for the voice artist, just like you.
If you're like most voice talent today, you're wondering various things relating to your voiceover career. Well, VO Radio has your answers. Here's more questions answered by our panelists. Well, VO Radio has your answers. Here's more questions answered by our panelists. Well, VO Radio has your answers. Here's more questions answered by our panelists. Well, VO Radio has your answers. Here's more questions.
There you go. Talk about technical glitches, right? I don't know what happened all of a sudden, but it wanted to start looping for some reason. So that's very odd. Anyways, hey, you're listening to, of course, VO2B, and it's live VO2B, people, live radio. So, hey, we got a special guest who's just joined us. Wasn't sure she could make, but she has graced us with a presence. Bev Standing with us. Thanks, Bev, for coming in.
You're welcome. Sorry, my session ran long.
Oh, don't even
Cool.
sweat it. We're not
Cool.
worried about that at all. We're
Glad to
going to
have
go
you.
right into a email that was asked, and it's from, let's see who we're working with here. It's from Mitchell in New Jersey, NJ, right? Yeah, New Jersey. Are there ways to edit faster to save time on longer recordings? Is basically what Mitchell was asking. Are there ways to edit faster to save time on longer recordings? I know that applies to long form as well as audiobooks. With Bev chiming in, what do you think about that, Bev? What's your thought on that?
I had an engineer design, and I'll give him a shout out, Uncle Roy Yokelson, and he created all my shortcuts. I use Adobe Audition, so when I insert silence or, put in room noise or reduce space or generate space and minimizing and maximizing and all those things done with little quick shortcuts. And to me, and I don't do a lot of really long form, so to me, I do the performance and I can edit on the fly as I'm listening it to go, going, just reducing my space. I don't have to listen to it 5 times to do that. So yeah, if you don't know how to do that, find somebody who can do that for you and then set it up as keyboard shortcuts.
Really cool. Excellent. So basically using marks is what you're kind of saying, right? Using marks as you go. I think it's like an F3 or
Edit as I
F5 or
go.
whatever.
Edit as I go.
Right. Edit on the fly. You got it. Exactly right. And that's something that Stacey's heard me say before when we're doing our training together in the very beginning was a lot of people asking that, especially intermediate students that are actually into the world now and out there going at it. They'll come back to me and they'll say, hey, man, listen, I ran into a situation where I had about a 38 to 40-minute project. I was working on it. It'd take me 3 or 4 hours of my time. And I lost money because my hourly rate went down to like $40 for the job bid I offered. Because it's piecework, and the slower you are, the less per hour you're going to put out. But I said exactly that to him. Like I've said to a lot of people, learn how to edit on the fly. And what that basically entails is the ability to record. And when you make a mistake, hit pause and fix that mistake and then pick up right from there. But the problem is you should scroll back over and listen to what you tailed off and what you said last, because you want to still be able to match your inflection, and you don't want there to be such an abrupt beginning to the next take or the next reread or whatever you're cutting in. A lot of people use that old punch and roll thing and all that too. That takes, in other words, a same kind of idea. You have to be able to understand how to keep your inflectiveness and your continuity or consistency the same. Then, like you were just saying, when you get through like a 8-hour audiobook, and Don Harvey would agree to this, you're not looking at an hour of recording, an hour of editing, an hour of reproofing, and you end up with 3 or 4 hours per hour of time put in. So good food for thought from that. Stacey, what do you think? You probably run into this.
Yeah, I am much better at matching my own voice now, than in the very, very beginning. In the beginning, that was like, oh my gosh. And it's great to have that confirmation that I learned from you, Anthony, about editing on the fly, because that's the easiest way. If you have to go back and hear like everything and kind of find out you're just like doing everything, 10 times longer. And I use Adobe Audition, and I need to make an appointment with Uncle Roy. Also, I've been meaning to ever since that Ultimate VO Survivor event last year. Like I won a session with him, and I still need to do that. He's a busy guy.
Yeah.
But he gets like rave reviews, and I just keep it really simple these days. And my handful of experiences with audiobooks, those longer narrations, that would have really come in handy. And I'm hesitant these days to do something that's a blanket over, because I don't have these presets like Bev. I'm hesitant to do something that's going to do a blanket approach to the whole document, because I've learned that muddles sound, So I'm hesitant to even like minimize breaths through a whole thing with a click of a button. So I really want some professional help to know how to do that in the best way without compromising the whole file.
What's your thought on that, Bev? I saw you.
Yeah, no, I breathe like a football. I have,
Thank you for admitting that. I mean, not that I know that about you, but we all do.
I have so it actually got confirmed yesterday. I have a tongue tie, which has caused me, it changed the formation of the roof of my mouth shape as I grew. This was a birth problem. So everyone says you should breathe through your nose, but my tongue can't get to the roof of my mouth because it's tied. So when I breathe, it's like I'm going to the store and so I recognize my footballs, but you can just highlight the football as you're listening because you're going on the fly. You highlight the football and you just hit, for me too, it just brings it down. I cut out the middle of the breath so it's a little shorter.
I love
and
it.
away I go. Same as when you've finished a sentence or a bullet point, you don't want silence between those two. So I highlight the area, and what I will do is I'll copy my room tone for 1 second and I'll copy it. And as it's going along, I could highlight this much and hit paste and it gives me 1 second of room tone. So it's just as you're going and you see, oh, that's where I stopped and had a drink, grab it, highlight it and thing while you're listening as it's coming up.
Can I ask a question? You mentioned nose breathing, and I've seen a couple posts and heard people touch upon this topic. I think there's something to say about it, but I'm not sure what it is. And what can you, as veterans, say? Is that good, bad? Avoid it? Do it at a certain time, or what?
It's good, yeah.
Dan Friedman,
that's where I heard that. That's where
he talks about it a lot. When you're breathing through your nose, you don't get that sound into your microphone. And then you carry on. And you can, somebody was doing a practice read with me and you couldn't even see their breaths. And I looked and I went, you breathe through your nose, right? Yes, I do.
Absolutely.
But I struggle with that because I can't get my tongue up to the roof of my mouth quick.
It's definitely something that people got to work on and train themselves to do, because naturally people, when they're talking, because their mouth is already open, they're thinking of gasping. Like when you're running, they teach you as a good runner or anybody to pace yourself and breathe through your nose. And you'll hear people say, breathe through your nose, breathe through your nose. Even like if you're having a medical issue going on, they'll tell you breathe through your nose, deep breath through your nose. But that is something that takes time to learn. I got to say this real quick. Cindy wrote in, and Cindy is asking, is it okay though to use our noise reduction to remove breaths, since you guys are talking about breaths? What do you think of that? I got a comment, but what do you think, Bev?
I personally don't. Remember, I don't do 8 hours of audio. I would hire somebody to do my editing. My personal experience with it is the same as Stacy said, is when you apply it to the entire document, it seems to, warp some of the things you didn't want warped. So like, for example, reducing mouth clicks, I'll use that. I wouldn't I wouldn't select even a whole 30-second script and hit it, but I'll take, a second or two at a time, or a little phrase. I also edit visually as well as auditorially, and I'll see those lines in the spectrum, and I'll just highlight that little section and hit my shortcut, and it just clears them right up on the fly. I don't have to go back and try it. It just can take those out. But I don't ever do anything to the whole document. Now, I will say, and Anthony, you probably address this, I know a lot of people that when they submit their auditions, and Jody Krangle, who was here a couple of times ago, says the same thing. People will give you what they call stacks. They will create in your audio something that normalizes it, reduces the mouth, it does all in one button. So you record it, you get it how you like it, and you hit that button, and it's like a perfect audition setup.
Right.
You wouldn't do it to a job that an engineer is going to have, but for an audition, you want the person listening to get the best can do, right? So that's what a stack is when people talk about stacks.
That's really smart. Hey, we're going to go ahead. We're running late, so let's go and take a quick break, and we're going to be back in just a minute. And Stacey's going to bring us back in, and we got that Who's That Voice coming up in just a few minutes here. So, stick around. Don't go anywhere. Again, you can text us at 970, like our friend just did, 970-682-3424, or use the icon and open up and send us an email, or send it to ask@voradioonline.com. So we'll be right back.
This VO2B is sponsored by
Your voiceover career is dynamic and moving fast, and market trends for voice actors are constantly changing. So having the right resources to stay on top of your game is critical to your success. That's why VO pros and newcomers alike rely on VoiceOverExtra.com daily as their one-stop resource for voiceover success. Cut through the social media noise and find the information you need fast at VoiceOverXtra.com. It's the right resource for you now.
It's officially fall, y'all, and that means the new fall-winter issue of the VoiceOver Resource Guide is out now. Issue number 78, we've created a fully updated special video game strike edition of the Vorg for you. 3 pages dedicated to strike info. So get yours today at one of our pickup locations near you. Or head to thevorg.net, get one shipped out, and we'll plant a tree when you do. How nice is that?
Somebody has to be the best in the business.
Elevate your voice with NAVA, the National Association of Voice Actors. As a nonprofit association, NAVA is dedicated to the advocacy and protection of all our voices and for championing the equitable advancement of the voice acting industry. Visit the website at navavoices.org today. NAVA, together they can protect the future of voice acting and make our voices heard.
Ever since 2011, navigating the incredible waters and waves of the voiceover industry has never been easier with the VoiceOver Collective by your side. Jump on board with Jay Preston and the VOC at thevoiceovercollective.com. The VOC can help you find the right classes and coaches, recommended books to read, discounted and amazing equipment, the right rates to charge, not to be missed events, and so much more. Bookmark the website, thevoiceovercollective.com, and we'll all rise together.
When I wake up every day, I get on YouTube, and what do I see? Oh, what a surprise.
Be sure to send your email to ask@voradioonline.com. VO2B on VO Radio and YouTube.
Hi, and welcome back. It's Friday, if you didn't notice. Thank goodness.
TGIF, right?
Yes. Well, welcome back to the show. And again, please join us. We'd love it if you would do that. You can do that in so many different ways. You can text 970-682-3424. And again, that's 970-682-3424. Now, you called this snail mail at ask@voradioonline.com. But really, like Dawn said this the other day, snail mail is, like the paper with a stamp in the envelope, which, by the way, I was talking to a young girl and she never uses envelopes for anything and put a stamp on it. And I thought, oh, that's so weird. How does she not know? I mean, really technically what to do with an envelope, that's sad. But
good point.
And as you can see, people are emailing in already, like Cindy just did. You can also Zoom or call in using the information on the website on our Tubies area, on the Tubies page. We've also got Let's Talk VO on Mondays and Wednesdays live, our live show, where we talk just like this. But we have Audition Underground and we have, VIP guests and all these neat things that happen at 5 p.m. Eastern. And I'd like to thank our sponsors, the Vorg, VoiceOver Extra, the VoiceOver Collective, and NAVA. So let's take another question. I want to keep talking VO.
Yeah, let's go for it. Go ahead and jump right in and read it for us if you want to.
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay. We've got Shay from Georgia. Are there specific trainers in VoiceOver? If so, what kind? I'm sorry, Shay, but there's not. There's no trainers in VoiceOver out there at all, and not in any. No.
Yeah, you're on your own. Read a book. For crying out.
No. Oh my gosh. There are so many trainers. There's trainers for the trainers, and then even they have trainers and mentors and all that kind of stuff. It's crazy. There are lots. They're by genre, by dialect, by everything you can imagine for whatever it is. The big yes. And I know that you guys will elaborate further, but absolutely. And we all need them at every step of our journey. So Yes, yes. You know what, Anthony, I'll pass this one to you because you're one of those.
I can basically just say, you just said it all. Let's go to the next question. No, really, it is kind of a Bev will agree with me. I think we talked about this on Let's Talk VO a while ago. I think somebody asked a similar question. How do I know which trainer to work with or a specific genre or industry or whatever? You said it exactly. And in short and to the point, the reality is there are specialty trainers that work with animation or gaming or cartooning or character voices in general, that category. There are narrative trainers that work with narration and all the subgenres that fall under narration, technical and medical, and audiobooks kind of is in a monster of its own now category. And then there are your broadcast trainers that specialize in commercial work and TV work and broadcasting. You even have like Brett and some other people who do trailer and imaging training for people that work with people on imaging and trailers. I will say that every one of these genres is a beast in itself. They are specifically different. They're approached differently. Your mindset has to be different for each one of those. Even the voice sound pack, that I call it, even your sound pack you build for those particular genres have to be a little bit unique to one another. But at the same time, there are also coaches that specialize in beginner work, intermediate talent, advanced talent, like Uncle Roy and others, and me and Bev and Deb work with some advanced talent quite a bit, helping them reinvent or refresh their entire image because they're old school and they want to get modern, become more social savvy with this millennial-based type of world we're in. And so you'll find that there's a variety of coaches. So yes, my answer is definitely yes. Bev, what's your thought on that? Do you have anything else to that, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's important to understand what it is you're looking for in a coach, because, you know, you might have a great voice, but do you understand how to use the equipment and the editing you're using? So that could be a coach as well, not just performance. And I can't imagine someone who does animation teaching me about medical, unless they do medical. I mean, that's not to say that people that do animation can't do medical too, but you know, ask them, make sure that that's what they do. There is a similarity in coaching between, certainly when you're starting, and I know you said that I coach advanced people. I don't. I focus more on the, you know, beginner, intermediate type of student. For me, I get the most joy out of that is watching the development and watching them grow. But it's in commercial, non-broadcast, corporate, explainer. You can have a coach and even like slightly e-learning, like basic e-learning. You could have a coach that will cover all those, and not panic that, oh my goodness, they're covering all. They're probably great. Anne Ganguza is a perfect example who could do all. I mean, I could list off a number of people, but do your research and talk to people that have been coached by them, and don't hesitate if you don't know them. Ask the coach you want to coach with. Do you have a couple of your students I could, you know, reach out to?
That's
I
funny.
just want to do my homework, and an honest to good coach will say, absolutely.
It's funny that you say that because at VO 101, where my home base of coaching is, the plug is selflessly, vo101.com. The reality is, but I would say probably about 60% of my students, if you want to call them that, are advanced veterans in the business. And a lot of them the reason they come to me is even out of LA, and their agents will refer me out of the union world, is because I look at things a little differently than the old school, or that, if you will, that clique or that circle of people that run with one another do. I approach things a little differently. I'm kind of a black sheep coach in a way. So a lot of the people that I do work with are not making any more money, and they don't understand what's going on. They don't understand how they've been out marketed, if you will. And what I do is when I approach them listening to, first of all, their current demos, listening to 5 or 6 of the recent auditions, get a feel for what they're doing and where have they lost their mojo, so to say. And by refreshing and reinventing them, even if it's under a new alias, synonym, or name, I'll even help them package a new brand, and they'll go out and build a new site and go out in the market as a fresh talent. It helps them find things they're not doing anymore. Maybe they've gotten lazy tongue. Maybe they don't have what Stacy and others who've trained with know, they don't have good colors in their voice. They don't use dynamics well anymore. They work within one-dimensional sound. They're not a 3 or 4-dimensional register voice talent, lower, middle, upper range of your voices. Everything sounds like it's kind of in the middle, so they become predictable. And after a while, when they're submitting, they start to go to the point of where the receiver of the audition has, oh, I know what he's going to sound like. Go to the next guy. And I know when I send out an audition, a lot of mine, probably about 90% of mine now are private that I send out, because my clients go through my cartoon actors or my voice talent or whatever my database is, and they'll find 10, 15 people they want to audition. So a lot of my stuff nowadays is private invites. And what'll happen is the client will automatically go, oh, I know what she sounds like. Oh, I know what he sounds like. And I'll go, no, you don't actually. Let's listen to it. But I am guilty of that. To wrap up my little tangent, I'm guilty of, I looked on the list of my 80 respondents, let's say, and I will know he or she in advance in my head what that person's going to sound like. If it's a cartoon, animated voice character type of thing, that's different because you're expecting them to be a little bit different than the same sound. But if it's a broadcast or a narration or an e-learning project or a how-to video series, I know right away what so-and-so is going to sound like. So there is something to be said about that, that when you're working with a coach in an older and a talent in an older environment that has experience, you can teach a dog new tricks. So I think that's a niche, but I'm glad there's somebody like you and others out there that work with the beginners and the intermediate talent. But there are a handful of us who do specialize in that type of advanced coaching, that a lot of coaches don't want to deal with that. Oh, I don't want to hear somebody that thinks they know everything. There's a lot of people who've come to terms with the fact that I don't know everything. I'm not getting any more work. What can I do differently? So anyways.
Oh,
Well,
and
go ahead, Stacey.
Oh, there's never a moment where you just say, I've been trained and you're done.
Right.
It doesn't stop. And I have different questions now than I did when I was new. And at every step in the way, I want to delve deeper, and I have a different perception of things, and I need help with different things. And I love it that there's so many different specialists for animation and all these different things, but you have to have that foundation, and your foundation is always changing and growing along your journey. So it really doesn't stop, and it just gets better and better. You want to learn.
Just to add to this whole conversation is, look at our sponsors. When they have their workshops for, less than $100 and there's maybe 12 in the room, if you do those workshops, then you'll get a feel of what that coach is like with other people as well, and the way that they direct not just you but others. And a good coach, you'll hear the difference based on the read of the person, whether they're beginners or advanced or whatever they chose to do. Their direction is going to be different. But it's interesting, if you can understand what the coach is saying to these people, then perhaps that's a good fit for you. So yes, the answer to the question is yes, there are different trainers in this industry, and it's finding the one that works with you. And that's just my little tip to finding one.
That's a great tip. And actually, Sheila just wrote in and said that it's so funny to hear that there is a range of coaches out there. The problem is, apparently we have to dig deeper. I've been looking for about a month now to find a more veteran coach who works with veterans like myself. After 28 years in the business, I have, just like you said, Anthony, been slipping backwards. So your point about being able to share advanced techniques for us old sardines is very valuable. So I hear that. So see, there are people out there who think that way too, that they do have a hard time finding, let's face it. I'll wrap up by saying it like this, and then Stacey can take us into our who's that voice. I know for a fact that there are a lot of, I don't mean to sound disrespectful to anybody, but there are a lot of so-called coaches and trainers and that are out there that are in the business, and they work and they go after beginners because there's more money in it. They have more money to spend. They can invest more. There's more potential of longevity with them for a year or two or whatever. They have a longer run of that, using up the college fund, if you will. When you're working with advanced talent, maybe they only need 3 or 4 lessons, if that. Maybe they only need a couple of word refreshers. Maybe they can work with you, looking at your online workshops you offer, like Deb Monroe and me and other people have online stuff. So I would say that in hard love daddy world, yes, it is difficult to find advanced coaches out there to want to work with people who are maybe set in their ways because of all the factors we've talked about. But like Bev and Stacey was saying, the answer is yes, for sure. There are specialty trainers and specialty genres out there. So just make sure you tread lightly and find somebody that really fits what you're at. Like Bev was saying, where you're at in your market. And that's kind of my little recap thing there. For what it's worth.
Great
What do you
advice.
think? Dace, you want to do that Who's That Voice, or what do you think?
Okay. Oh my God. All this wonderful advice happening. It's so good. Okay. It's time for Who's That Voice? Do you want me to tell more about it?
Who's That Voice is sponsored by...
I'm Stacey Barrow, and I'm the imaging voice here on VO Radio, as well as a feature contributor. My feature is Top of Mind, where I talk about what's top of mind for those who are new to VO. I do all different types of voiceover, and I'm also bilingual in English and Spanish. I truly love all things voiceover, and I definitely love to talk about it. So reach out to me anytime here at VO Radio Online, or you can also find me at voiceoversbystacy.com. Who's that voice?
I beg your pardon?
Do you have a knack for knowing a voice? Can you recognize a voice with your eyes closed?
Oh, I just rescued a tiger.
VO Radio wants to give you a chance to win free coaching, online courses, and other great stuff.
Greetings, Earthlings.
Listen to Let's Talk VO and VO2B for the weekly voice of the day.
There's a secret mission.
Then fill out the Who's That Voice contest entry, and you'll be added into our weekly drawing on the Let's Talk VO Live the following Monday.
I think that I've lived like 3 lives.
Now let's test your ability to recognize a voice with this week's Who's That Voice?
Speaking of that voice, if you can name that voice in 5 seconds.
And they also win free coaching, an hour free coaching with Chef Deb Monroe for getting this answer right. And all you have to do is go to our website, go to listeners, participation, find Who's That Voice, and fill it out. It's fun. You know that this is a hard one, okay? It is quick. It's difficult. But
yeah, it is.
You know this voice. He's so famous. You know this voice.
For sure. And I'll play it, and then I'll play it a second time like we did the other day on Let's Talk VO. Monday and Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern time, he said. Anyways, let's go for it. Here we go.
Just think, our whole family packed together on a long, slow trip across country.
Actually, the minute I heard that, I immediately knew it.
Really?
I'm sorry. I don't want to sound like Mr. Cocky over here, but the reality was, the minute I heard him, my helpers picked all the different clips for this first set of them, and I went right away, bang, bang, bang. I nailed every one of them. There's only one I couldn't figure out at first. Let's go ahead and play it again and give you another second shot at this and see what you think. Here we go. So this
Just think, our whole family packed together on a long, slow trip across country.
I don't know. What do you think, Bev? You think they'll get that one in the last shot?
She's on mute. You know what's funny? I didn't recognize it right away because he's talking a little bit higher in the first sentence or something. And
yeah.
There's just some quirkiness about his voice that it is recognizable. But it's recognizable to me because I know who it is.
Right.
So maybe if I didn't know who it is, it would be more difficult. And it's very short. So.
Yep, very short. So there's your chance. Like Stacey said a little bit ago, go to the website, go to the listener tab, go down to where it says contest, fill out the form with the correct voice, and you can have a chance at winning Miss Deb Monroe's really useful hour of private coaching on any topic in any area you want to work with. So,
okay, you guys, wait. I have a really, I like random stuff. Okay, this is a very random hint. Okay, this is so random, but it's funny. Okay, this person has a freak obsession with the king. Okay,
Ooh.
if you know him, you'll know that, and it'll make sense once you do know that. Okay.
And I actually, am I correct to think that he was actually once married?
Yes,
to the king's daughter?
Yes.
Okay.
Freaky. That's a little too far, but freaky.
I think that's
cool.
a good little hint for the last time it'll run before we'll pick the winner on Monday. Hey, let's take a quick break, and Bev's going to bring us back in, and we got another question on our last block coming up, so stick around, and we'll be back in just a few minutes here. Hang tight.
This VO2B is sponsored by...
Hey there, VO Radio listeners. It's D here, your friendly neighborhood tattoo VO. For those who don't know, I'm a voice actor and audio producer helping clients all over the world. If you need your message to stand out so that you can leave an indelible mark, reach out at tattoovo.com or search Tattoo VO on your favorite social media app and see why hundreds of clients in over 60 countries trust their brand at Tattoo VO. Till then, keep shining. Tattoo VO, lending a voice to those who demand to be heard.
What's the key to being a successful voiceover? Well, it's twofold. Acting with your unique and authentic being, and marketing. Be consistent with growing and honing your skills to beat out the AI monster we're all facing, and marketing. The million-dollar question is, how do you master these skills? Of course, you hire a good coach who's been in the biz, who's been down this road, and can help you avoid pitfalls and rabbit holes. I'm Diana Birdsall, coach and voice actor. Get in touch at diana@dianabirdsall.com.
Street Smart Coaching. That's what you get at VO 101. Hi, I'm Anthony Reese, 35-year veteran, casting director, producer, and voiceover coach here at VO 101. Whether a beginner or veteran voice talent, you'll find everything you need to get your career started or take your career to the next level. Training, website design, YouTube channel creation, voiceover demos, video demos, a free evaluation, and even a free training area. Get Street Smart Coaching at VO 101. That's VO101.com.
I'm Stacey Barrow, and I'm the imaging voice here on VO Radio, as well as a feature contributor. My feature is Top of Mind, where I talk about what's top of mind for those who are new to VO. I do all different types of voiceover, and I'm also bilingual in English and Spanish. I truly love all things voiceover, and I definitely love to talk about it. So reach out to me anytime here at VO Radio Online, or you can also find me at voiceoversbystacy.com.
When I wake up every day, I get on YouTube, and what do I see? Oh, what a surprise.
Be sure to send your email to ask@voradioonline.com. VO2B on VO Radio and YouTube.
Welcome back, everybody, to Tubies, our Friday special, where we are live on the air and you can join us, and we would love to have you with us on camera, preferably, so we can see your beautiful faces, to share the information that you've learned at any stage of your path, because there's things that you think of that maybe we don't, and we'd love you to participate in our show. And you know, it's part of paying it forward, which this industry does so well. So I'll just say that. But you can text in, as people have done today, to 970-682-3424. You can email us at ask@voradioonline.com, or you can Zoom or call in. As I said, all you do is go to the website and scroll down and hit the button, and it gives you the link, and away you go. We also have contests on that webpage, and the one that we're looking for contributors for is Audition a Day in the Life. We want to know what you do, and I'm not saying we need to know you get up and feed your 16 children cereal for breakfast and get ready to go to your day job. What we'd love to hear is how your voiceover fits in with your daily life.
Right.
Why? Because that will help other people. How do you manage your time? You know, you're busy doing what? Are you a baseball coach? Are you, a dance teacher? Are you just the person that drives people somewhere? What do you do? How do you fit voiceover in there? We'd love to hear how that works. So the day in the life, if you send us a little clip, and then we can interview you live. And that would be wonderful. We're going to thank our sponsors for all that they do and give us the support we need to get our message to you. And that is the VORG, the VoiceOver Collective, VoiceOver Extra, and Nava. And coming soon, there will be a new sponsor added to this list, which I'm really excited about. But while we wait, why don't we do another question?
I think that's great, but I do want to throw this in since you just said that. Let me trigger off that. Can we announce just your side of it, that you guys are officially up and running now?
Yes, Kava, which is the Canadian version of Nava. And we are still new, but we have started our monthly workshops for members, and we have a bunch lined up, and we're really excited to unite our country, which at this time, as everybody knows, is important at any time, but especially now. And there's so many Canadian talent and coaches and demo producers, and we're going to come find you so we can share your knowledge with all of the world, not just Canada, but we need to find you. We're a big country and we're pretty spread out. So we're going to find you, and we're going to help everybody follow the rules and learn the political, AI fight in Canada, because it is slightly different than in the States. So we're doing our part, but it takes time. So bear with us, but feel free to join up, kavavoices.org.
That's
Thank
very
you.
cool. And actually, Mitchell said, thank you very much for my question, answering my question earlier. I hear what you're talking about right now, Bev. Can we in the U.S. also join Kava, or is it only for Canadian?
Oh, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Because you're going to have, you might want your demos produced by a Canadian. You might be, they just might provide something different. The Canadian advertising market is a little bit different than the States, just like the UK is different than North America. We also have lots of coaches, and we have discounts for purchasing things. We have webinars with great people. Your clients could be in Canada. Wouldn't it be nice to know a little bit about the people that are working in the industry up here? So yes, yes. Just like Canadians are part of NAVA, including myself.
That's so funny. I think what we're going to have to do is have you on a VO2B. We were just talking, me and Stacy before the show started, having a specialty guest come on for the whole show. And I think what we're going to have to do is have you and or whoever you want to be with you come on for an entire show representing Kava, because Sherry just actually said, if I join Kava, is it tax deductible in the States as I can my NAVA and other subscriptions? So you know about that? Is that going to?
I don't know tax laws in the U.S., but it's a nonprofit company in the U.S. You're putting it towards your business. My presumption is yes, but I will not give United States tax.
Right.
I just made a note
I'm not sharing that information because I might not be right. So
I just made a note to invite you, Bev.
Okay.
All right, let's go into the listener email box.
You're listening to VO Radio. The views, opinions, and insights shared are not necessarily those of other panelists, guests, and contributors on VO Radio and its broadcast programs. Advice, tips, opinions, and legal suggestions are based on industry experience of the individual co-host, panelist, guest, or contributor. These opinions and comments are not endorsed by or verified by VO Radio and its operators. Listener discretion is advised.
VO Radio, Internet radio for the voiceover community.
Hi, this is Linda Bruno. Be sure to catch my podcast, the Voiceover Gurus podcast, weekends during the Weekend Power Podcasts here on VO Radio. Check out the podcast section of the website for my weekend showtimes.
Internet radio for the voice artist, just like you.
If you're like most voice talent today, you're wondering various things relating to your voiceover career. Well, VO Radio has your answers. Here's more questions answered by our panelists live.
Listen and learn. Internet radio for the voice artist, just like you.
Welcome back. I don't have a pot to pretend to pull out a piece of paper, but I do have a note right in front of me, and it says, from Sandra in Florida. Hi, Sandra. Nice to meet you. Can you expand on the different types of narrations, is the question. So let me address that I'll use non-broadcast because we are going to have something to say. In non-broadcast, you can have tech, medical, I'll say pharmaceutical, which is slightly different than medical, just basic fun, light and easy. You can have educational, you can have training, and they all have a slightly different flair. And it comes down, I think sometimes it comes down to as simple as who's your audience. So different types of narrations, they're all catered. The writing and the performance are different for all those different. So I'll just focus on that. Stacy, what do you think? How do you answer that question?
Well, that is actually how I found vo101.com. I had this burning question, which I didn't know how to articulate at the time, but I felt like all my reads sounded the same. But I didn't know any different. So I saw, Anthony Reese with vo101.com on a free webinar. And the reason why I took that webinar is because it was 6 narration styles and that question, do all your reads sound the same? And I thought, oh my gosh. And I was just so enlightened and shocked that was exactly what I wanted to know. So it made those puzzle pieces fit in for me. And then I ended up, realizing that I could really relate to the information that this person was saying. And then I went on to take, all kinds of further training. those narration styles. And what's funny is I did my homework because, again, we're always training. Just because you learn something doesn't mean you're done and it's just like in your brain and you're going to know how to use it. So today, as I'm getting ready for the show, I happened to find one of Anthony's videos. I Googled YouTube 6 styles of narration because I couldn't find it on my computer. I knew it was there somewhere, just to refresh myself with exactly and articulate exactly what those were to jog my thinking. And it breaks it down, so well, like Bev mentioned, like technical, audiobook, promotional, educational, explainer, and documentary, and including broadcast. And again, how you feel within those types of narrations and what to keep in mind and what the listener is expecting when they hear something like that. And I'll pass it to you, Anthony, but I was just like, I want to refresh myself on that. And yeah, it was so helpful.
I think you guys hit it right out of the park, man. As always, Bev's great insight, and your insight as a intermediate 3 or 4 year talent now, and you're running into exactly what we tell people and the wisdom we share, paying it forward is yes, for sure. The question is, yes. What'd she say exactly? She said, can you expand on the different types of narration? There's definitely different types. Not unlike Bev just hit, there is technical, there is medical / pharmaceutical. There's even training and how to, there's even corporate type of stuff. There's even finance and business. There's a variety of them going into the audiobooks as well, of course. But you got to understand that you got to learn how to develop or mold your sound for that specific audience. Like Bev was saying, there is a audience that expects you to sound like a professional, very business, very executive, very corporate, where you're doing a corporate type of read. Very casual, very conversational, very friendly, very today, very relatable, as we say, all these buzzwords we use. If you're doing something like a how-to video on YouTube for some company, teaching them how to use a product they sell. Basically, e-learning even is casual, more educational, depending if it's the faculty or if it's the student body. If it's a student body, you want to sound a little bit more friendly, t-shirt and jeans. If it's a faculty type of product that you're doing for them, you want to work on something that sounds a little bit more professional, more sharp. You got to be careful of your enunciation. You got to be careful of everything that has to do with sounding educated. So there is a whole different approach. And I know that a lot of us trainers out there, I don't know about Bev and or Deb or who, but we work with people on 4 or 5 lessons that are focused on what we call genre targeted specific type training for character development and narration development, commercial only, and even audiobooks. But yeah, there's definitely a wide range of stuff out there relevant to how do you approach each one, and or yes, there's a variety of different sound packs. I keep using that phrase that you work on to develop that targeted audience, like Bev was hammering home. So really cool question.
I know we're running short on time, but let me just say, if you got into audiobooks, the very first training session I did was audiobooks, blew me away. I got up and I did a read. They had this thing and they just looked at me and said, "Oh my goodness, you would be great at mid-teen." And I went, "Mid-teen?" Like, that's a thing, and so yeah, if Don Harvey was here, there's probably a list of 400 different kinds of audiobooks. So yes, the answer is yes, you can expand.
Yep, very much. And touching on that audiobook,
expand on narration types.
Yeah, and exactly like touching on what you just said, the audiobook world, I think allows us to become more actors than any other genre. Yeah, the character genre is unique in itself, don't get me wrong, but audiobooks allow us to have a range of performance. We can go from very serious chapter into a happy-go-lucky nostalgic type of reflection chapter where they're talking about their childhood and how much, and there's a lot of smile, a lot of pleasantries going on, and then really sad and gloomy chapter where they're talking about losing their first pet, and then later that year I lost my grandmother and she was close to me. So that's the range that happens in audiobooks. The same kind of thing happens in narration, but although they're not as much emotional changes, there are more sounds that develop based on what I call the inflection of the voice, inflection, the casual, the corporate, the explainer type of feel, the more pharmaceutical business, more clinician type of stuff. So, oh my God, this opens up a whole can of worms. So yeah, if you can find my little 6 primary narration styles, I have a 6 primary broadcast style one out there as well. And if not, I definitely do offer it on my website as a training package I do with people too. So Bev, let's do a final wrap up here. How do people reach you for training? And can you reiterate once more how they get involved in not only looking out for you for training and coaching, but how they get involved in the Kava situation too, real quick?
Thanks. Well, okay, so just go to the website, Kava, C-A-V-A, voices.org, and all the information is right there. You can email our support@kavavoices.org if you have any questions, and we'll be happy to answer them. I'm on the board of directors, so I'm one of a team that gets involved. I'm also a coach on Gravy for the Brain Canada, so gravyforthebrain.com, go to Canada. If you're an American, you sign up there. You still have access to the mentoring sessions that we do and the webinars we do. If you want to reach me directly, bev@bevstanding.com. There's a theme, Bev Standing, Bev Standing. We don't know anything about me. Just look up Bev Standing. There's not a whole lot of us in this.
You definitely come back quick on the Google, that's for sure. Hey, great for sharing that. And make sure to check out Bev's feature here from Inside the Booth. You want to take a listen to that because there's all kinds of great content she shares on her feature here on the 27 broadcast. Just go to the program section of the website and you're going to find all the different features that run in the show 24/7, and you can also be able to see when her feature airs during what hour of the day. And it's typically twice, I think even 3 times a day we're up to now that each of the features rotate through. So with that said, let's hand it off to the top of the mind feature. Speaking of Stacey Barrow, what's your final thoughts for this VO2B?
Well, you know what? I'm normally standing in my booth, but I'm not related to I sit down, I stand up. I love to stand. You know what? I am not a coach, but I am a mentor and a VO friend.
You will be.
But I just, being in this environment, we hear so much and we're all at different levels. And I love it when people reach out to me to ask me a question. I love to point them in the right direction or just as a sounding board. A lot of people will ask me, what did you do? And I'm doing this, what do you think? And I love that. I can be reached at Stacy@voiceoversbystacy.com. My website is voiceoversbystacy.com. See, we've got this theme going on. You know what I mean? And you can find me out there on social media, either Stacey Barrow or Voiceovers by Stacey. This is Stacey VO. So any kind of combo and you can find me. But just keep on doing what you're doing. Keep on keeping on.
Yep. And congratulations. I know you just met Mark Cashman in person, who was just our guest on Wednesday at the showcase that Lollapetus Company put on out there. And you shared with me earlier before the show that went really well. It was awesome. If anybody's interested in that, is that an invite only type of thing through Law, or can they go to lollapetus.com website or whatever? And
go to lollapetus.com, and it was open to everyone. You know what I mean? It was open to anyone that wanted to sign up and participate and do that. And again, because it was practically in my backyard, I couldn't pass that up. And to be able to meet whoever I could in person, and again, it was hybrid and in person, so it was Zoom and what have you. And that was just an added bonus to get to meet Mark Cashman, who was on our show on Wednesday. He didn't know I was on the list, and so he walked in. I heard his voice, though, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. And I was so excited to see him and stuff. So that was so cool. Anything you can do in person is just like, go for it.
I'm telling you. And it's funny, Mark does have, if anybody knows who we're talking about up close and personal, if not, check out cashmancommercials.com. He's in our bag of tips here as well on VO Radio. Mark has a very airy, textury sound in his voice. He has a little bit of like a flavor in his voice that has a texture to it, a gravelness, but a really light gravel, a very soft kind of feel to his voice, something going on. So he stands out when he talks in the crowd. You can definitely, hey, is that Mark over there? You can tell right away. So hey, I gotta say this real quick. Lenny just wrote in and said, Bev, I heard what you just said. Do you actually do private coaching, or do I have to go to the gravy place? Do you do private coaching for Lenny?
Yep, bev@bevstanding.com. Just send me an email.
bev@bevstanding.com. Okay, there you go.
That easy.
Hey, we're going to wrap up. Thanks for watching this VO Tubi and simulcasting over the VO Radio broadcast platform. I'm Anthony Reese. You can check out my VO101.com and also my feature on the show, Business Sense. I'm getting ready to start a new feature. I won't tease it until next week, but I'm adding a second feature as well to replace my Business Sense with a new feature. And we're adding in a new podcaster this weekend who's joined us, Susan Berkeley.
Yeah.
The Great Voice Company is her podcast, and seems to be a pretty good buzz about the idea that she's joining the team. Her podcast starts Saturday, and she'll run all weekend, every weekend, like all of our other podcasts. To check out the podcast section of the website, simply go to where it says shows and go to weekend podcasts, and you can see everybody that's featured on the weekends here on Saturday and Sunday. It's going over very well. Just like they love our 24/7 stuff during the week, the podcast weekends are becoming a pretty good hit. We get a lot of people who are interested in that and a lot of feedback coming through. So with that said, don't forget to check out our live on-demand playback of this on YouTube. It'll be available within 12 to 14 hours, depending on how fast they encode it and turn it around. Then we'll re-upload it, and that is going to be available on our YouTube channel. If you haven't got our app, make sure to download our app so that you can start to listen to the show anywhere you are 24/7. So with that said, thanks for listening to the show and be part of our broadcast. Don't forget about Tim Friedlander with Nava next Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on Let's Talk VO. So with that said, everybody give us a good wave. Bye-bye, everybody out there.
Bye, everybody.
Have a great weekend.